Why is it telling me that? StreamYard, don't be changing things. All right, we are live. What are we doing today?
I don't know. They're just catching up.
It's been a while since we've seen everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of us
figuratively
died or committed a death, murder, kill on himself. It just.
I'm trying to go for the insurance fraud eventually. But yeah, no, we're here to cover the last half of Andor episode. Well, we already reviewed the first half, but this is the review of the second half and overall for us.
Yeah.
All right. So overall, well, I'm just making sure we're live and everything. Overall, did everyone enjoy it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think as Kachun's words would say, I'm not disappointed.
I think that if you go back and watch everything we reviewed, all my whiny complaints, if I had said I dislike that, then I should probably just stop watching Star Wars, because I don't know what I disliked about it. I know people said it was like slow or boring. I will say this. The one thing I will say overall that I thought they could have done a little bit better, just like a few weird Star Wars moments. Like Star Wars always had these weird moments. So if we could have got a weird scene where there was like 9 aliens just there standing against a wall or something, I think that could have been a little bit of a cool thing to do. You didn't need it at all. I just think, that would have been like a cool little Star Wars thing to do.
Yeah, I was funny. There was a lack of cantina in the town.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, it's not a bad thing. I'm just thinking if you wanted to do something like the one thing that I think people said about it that I think would have been neat was, it didn't feel like Star Wars, which I get. I guess like I think it actually kind of did feel like Star Wars. We just forgot what Star Wars felt like because of all stuff that has gone in between those. But I can see, I guess, somebody saying that there wasn't those like weird Star Wars moments where there's some 3-headed monster smoking a 3
in the back
or something weird.
There was a bit of cantina at the start in that first episode.
Yeah,
when he shoots those guys.
Yeah, and people, I think what I think happened, we kind of talked about it, is overall some people said it was slow, it was boring. And I think once you have that in your head, it's hard to get out of that mentality, because people said it was the slow and the pacing and everything like that. Yeah, maybe. But once you started getting to like 5, 6, 7, you started realizing that everything was important.
And once you started branching all the storylines too.
Andor, who I actually did think the lead actor was probably the weakest. Sorry, I think he was probably the weakest actor in the group. I think they had amazing casting, and I think maybe that was some of the problem. Honestly, the casting was so amazing that kind of
detaches from the main character. Yeah,
yeah, it kind of made you like want to know more about every. I mean, if you think about all the characters, like there was basically 2 shows in one going on, right? They
realistically,
stuff, and everybody in that thing was amazing. Even they would just add a random bad guy or something. You're like, oh god, I want to know more about this guy. And how can you not want that in your TV show? Where every single character, like, there's not a character that I don't want to know less about. Like, Andor's bad. What the hell? Like, I would love to know more. He seems amazing, and we don't hardly know anything about him. The little robot. When's the last time you saw something that Star Wars loves to cash in, like a little creature or a robot, and they didn't abuse it? Like, he's barely in it. I actually want to know more about the robot.
Well, what's funny is I really like, especially how much they treated him like with respect. Like, especially when Marva died, and the big buddy goes to like take him, and he's like, oh, we'll stay here for tonight with you and such. Like, they treated him really well.
Yeah,
like a true character, not just like, oh, he's just a funny droid. He is his own character basically.
And then the main problem that I have is that not one person in that show was perfect. They were all real humans. When they were having conversation up to the side, they felt like they were real people having weird, normal conversations. Sometimes you'd even wonder why the conversation was happening, and it's just 2 people having conversations. And I thought the writing was absolutely phenomenal. I can't say enough about the writing. It's amazing what happens Disney, I love you, and please don't copyright strike me if I start criticizing you. But it's amazing what happens when you knock the crap off and stop getting people that you think could check a box or do whatever the reason why they were hiring some of these writers, because they weren't seasoned veterans. You have $100 million budget and you're writing a person. This is their first time they've ever wrote a TV show. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So they got like actual professionals, and boom, the writing is amazing. Like, every conversation is amazing. Everything means something. Everybody that Andor ran into, I feel like taught him something that he took away by the end of the show. He was like learning, and he did a little bit of flashback, so you can see, oh, he's going to be idiot walking the situation again. But then you flashback or you remember a conversation he had earlier, and it makes him hesitate. It makes him think. Like, he was learning something the entire time. Nothing was wasted.
And he went from, basically being a mercenary to part of the rebellion by the end. And you saw those switches, especially with what was his name? Kenneth, the guy with the manifesto.
Yeah.
Keen, yeah. Sorry.
He was the first kind of that he created that first switch inside of Andor's head as to, oh yeah, I'm really part of a rebellion now. I'm not just some,
And honestly, as hokey, and that was probably the only time I kind of rolled my eyes or whatever, but it made sense for that character, is when that like frivolent writer of all things that is going to be rebellious goes on his little rants, like, in all situations it's this, that, or whatever. But when they went back to it and they hit it back again, it you must understand why now it makes sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Fun Comics, what's happening? Thanks for joining us. But anyways, I was going to ask one of you guys if you guys are watching to see if it was live, but Fun Comics, I guess, just answered that question, because apparently
we definitely
nothing is working on my end. I keep trying to hit YouTube. It keeps telling me I have no internet, which is weird because I'm talking to you two. So
we're pre-recorded. We're pre-recorded. we're so good at responses that like.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to think of I don't know. And to me, it kind of shows you, if you go back and think about the original Star Wars, like New Hope, how it was probably maybe for budgetary reasons, but I think the reason why people like it is because you have people just talking, TIE fighter, talking, laser sword, talking. Like it almost like tease like cool little things. Oh, that's a floating car. That's neat. And I feel like because of the power of special effects, the last few, especially Disney's really bad about it. It's just like 100% full go, everything special effects. There's hardly any.
You gotta have
perfect transition for that, because in the finale there's a scene the scene at the funeral. That was a part I kept rewinding like a couple seconds back just to watch certain things again, because how well the production quality was.
Yeah, and everyone was pretty much there, and everyone was reacting to that funeral in different ways.
Yeah.
And there were so many. It was like literally just watching how far back everything. Like, there were so many people there, and it was so. It's obviously because you look at stuff like Mandalorian, which is great, and it works in its own way, and with the volume and such. But then you look at stuff like Book of Boba Fett or Kenobi, which didn't utilize that same technology, but didn't look that great. But then you come to this, and they go back to the tried and true way of on-set filming and extras and practical effects that are enhanced, and it looks fantastic and helps with the story, like helps carry it, opposed to
the fan service wasn't blatant. It was subtle, and it was there. Like, say for instance, like the blue milk and the cereal, like. Luke
that's probably the most direct thing they did was the scene.
I mean, when I first saw it, there was a slight eye roll, but after like the third or fourth time, like I almost understood why he put it in the first time, because by the second or third time, when that guy, I don't know how he didn't murder his mom in her sleep, by the way. I never think this. But
I'm waiting for the Patrick Bateman.
Maybe that's why he left the planet. We're gonna find out later that they're gonna find her in the apartment with like blue milk and cereal coming out of her mouth because he just kept feeding her until she died. But like the fact that he kept eating that every day, it gets to the point where I was starting to giggle every time I saw it. Like, it wasn't even like it was.
Well, you notice this the more and more he just slowly you see him stop eating it. He's just kind of playing with it. He's just stirring it around.
But my point being, like, in say New Hope, and Luke is eating cereal in that, right? And it's kind of like it's not part of the scene, except that it's just them doing something, or they're eating,
Mhm.
or they're drinking coffee. But here, he brought it to the forefront. Like, that's how he tied all those other movies into this
Exactly. Yeah.
in a
Mhm.
subtle way, by just bringing that right into the foreground.
Yeah, and just to remind you, how to remind you, it's really close to that time period because like a lot of the stuff we've seen, like the Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, those are like 10 years after Return of the Jedi almost. And then you had Kenobi is also still like quite far away, right? So this is a point in time where it's much closer to where A New Hope is.
Mhm.
And all those stuff that we see, like the iconography you mentioned, it makes sense to be seeing it like normally, like it's not like an outlandish thing.
I saw somewhere where
And
they say that the season 2 is actually going to lead up to like a couple of months before Rogue One.
Mm.
um,
Yeah, they only confirmed 2 seasons, and then they said they had plans for more, but never.
it's got to be a
Okay.
2 seasons 0.5 or something, unless they're gonna go after like the aftermath of Rogue One.
Or they go before, like they've mentioned Mimban, and we know that he was there during the battles where Han Solo was and Valance was. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe they can go back and talk about that stuff.
Yeah,
But
Valance
yeah,
will be like, hey, Cassian, that meal you gave me tastes like shit.
when you think about like how this TV show went and how it was telling 2 stories, sometimes 3 stories, because they got to 3 stories at one time. But like even something as small as the prison, where I think in the past with Disney, they would have put that prison scene in to tell a different story, maybe something that would have irritated me, some kind of check a box situation that I would have said, why is the prison even in here? It doesn't need to be. But the prison was shot so amazingly. Like, wow, that was really a crazy, like color, the way it was shot and the way it was done. And it almost wouldn't even matter to me if there was no like reason for it to be. Like, if there wasn't like, oh, are they building Death Star parts or whatever? Like, it wouldn't even matter to me if it wasn't, just because it told his story. Like, the more experience he gets, the more he's not about himself. It's realizing that people are being hurt, and he's starting to become less and less selfish. Because when we first meet him, if you think about it, he's basically a piece of crap. Like, he's getting his friends to lie for him, knowing that could get them in a lot of trouble with that corporation, just to save his own skin. Like, he doesn't care about anybody else.
No.
And by the end of it, he's like, he's still like, when that prison scene was still happening, I was still thinking he could still be thinking about himself. But then you go on and you realize, yeah, he wants to save himself, but he was legitimately wanting other people to be saved too. Like, you can see his transformation.
Well, one of his transformations was when at the end of the heist, when he's talking with that guy who basically says that he's there, for the money, and then he just outright shoots him. He shoots first, and he's like, "This guy's a piece of crap. I'm just going to end it right here."
Mm-hmm.
So it brought back what he was, but it also was for for everyone else's benefit, because he was just going to screw everyone over.
Yeah.
Here's where I think they could have a problem, honestly, though, is because it's kind of like once Wolverine and Deadpool happened in Marvel, it got people starting to whine a lot more when we went back to just kids Marvel movies. Here's the thing. Andor is one of the only characters I could think of, because, they did the whole Han didn't shoot first thing, who just straight murdering people. Like, he doesn't care. Like,
I like the in the finale scene, in the finale when he's in that hallway and like he knocks the guy against the wall, flips him. I'm like, okay, he's knocked him out, and then he just pulls the gun and just shoots him in the stomach. I'm like, whoa.
That's what I was leading up to. Like, I don't care what movie it is, almost any movie in the modern world, unless it's like Jason Bourne or John Wick or something, they don't just kill the guy they do all the flippy stuff to make you believe, okay, well, he incapacitated him for the next 2 hours so he can get away. There was no reason to put that gun in his chest and pop him, other than I don't want him to get up and follow me. And when he did that, I was like, whoa, that when you have a movie like this, it's going to go really hard to go back to like knocking the stormtroopers' heads together and they just pass out and fall down. Like, you would have a hard time going back to that, right? Like, no more knucklehead stuff.
Actually, in the same thing, I was like when he went in the crowd when everyone was fighting the stormtroopers and whatnot, and the guy jumped on the one's back and was trying to take his helmet off, and the guy just shoots him in the back and sends the guy flying off the.
And he was dead. That's the key. The key was dead. He wasn't like.
It's like wow.
Like they killed a lot of people in that last scene.
And a lot of people we saw throughout the whole thing and followed their stories too.
Now, that being said, I know that his buddy is the badass and he's the one that causes all the chaos. Although I still wonder if you're going to allow somebody to do the old Three Stooges knucklehead thing and Kenobi, and then this guy, he headbutts one of the stormtroopers and knocks him out. I don't know why the stormtroopers are wearing helmets. Like I think that's a problem.
Did he not headbutt a stormtrooper? No, he picked up a metal bar.
He headbutted him. Yeah, no, he headbutted him. At one point, he headbutts him like this.
You know,
and I was like, if you're gonna keep doing that, then I gotta start asking the question of why they have helmets on, because they don't seem to do anything. Like they don't stop bullets. They don't stop knocking their heads together. Like you got to stop. Like at some point, you got to stop saying these. Or what's the point of having a helmet on?
Well, to be fair, rock, paper, scissors, if you both got rock, it's going to hurt.
And then the other thing that I thought was the other kind of last scene thing, which I guess we're skipping way ahead, that I was kind of like, was, did you guys not think it was a little too easy for Andor to get there and rescue the princess?
No, because everyone evacuated the building because to do the thing. They weren't concerned about her. They really didn't need her anymore. She was just there. They're more concerned with all the nonsense going outside.
I guess that means.
Oh, hello.
And those aren't to do this. Yeah. If you haven't watched this, please don't let us spoil it.
Yeah, don't let us spoil it.
I've been trying to get him and his wife to watch it, and it's on the list.
The spoiler alert: Andor lives in the seas. He survives the seas.
I know.
That's the only spoiler we can give.
You know what's actually funny? Okay, well, hope he's not here for this, but at the very end, that scene at the end, I was laughing because I was like, I know it's gonna cut, and it's gonna be so funny because we know for a fact what's gonna happen.
Well, I did see a YouTuber comment on it, and he makes a good point. He's like, I saw one of the complaints are it's hard for me to like care about a character. I know what's gonna happen, and he goes, and I find that weird that Star Wars fans are saying that right now. When how many
all of Star Wars? That's all.
How many times have we seen Darth Vader show up? You know what's going to happen at the end. Like, what does that have to do?
Right, exactly. But I think one of the really good things about this show was the tension that is built during every episode.
Oh yeah,
the entire series about so many different things, and how he had restraint. Like Gilroy had so much restraint on not showing us all the fanfare of the lightsabers and all that that stuff, and just with say something like simple like a TIE fighter, he made just one TIE fighter seem so menacing as it screamed through that Aldani Valley. Like that was just intense. That's like one of my favorite moments, and obviously the TIE fighters in the heist episode. But
oh yeah, I was just looking back at the scene again quickly. You're right. Yeah, he does. He swings the guy with the metal, and as the second stormtrooper turns to shoot him, a guy grabs the arm, pulls the stormtrooper's arm with the blaster away, and he grabs his shoulder and fucking headbutts him and knocks him down.
You know what's funny is that we've done this now for a while, and I don't normally say stuff unless I know it, and you never trust me. And every time I say,
because I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, there's no way.
That's all the time. Like I'll say something, he goes, "Are you sure?" And then I see him like this. He's frozen because I know that means he's watching it or he's checking my sources, which I respect. That's great. But
I fact check. You gotta fact check. Just don't fact check me because half mine are lies.
You said confidence. Nobody will ever know.
So so quickly, I was gonna jump. Obviously, we're jumping around here now, but with the ending there, just because it's obviously so fresh from watching it, was the beginning of the episode with the guy building this thing we don't know, and I'm thinking there, I'm watching him build it, and I'm like, I wonder if this is gonna be like a bomb, and then
and for who?
And for who, right? And then I thought what was gonna happen is he might walk into the hotel and like blow up the hotel or something. But then, yeah, at the thing, I love that. That was an amazing scene where he's reaching in the bag. Some of the guys are looking at him. It all goes dead quiet, except for the beeping. And as soon as it explodes, and like the shockwave, it all, like the glass exploding, everyone getting bounced around, like, wow, that was really good. And then as soon as the little crate rolls over and all the other grenades, the sonic grenades go off.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I was like, I love
go
this.
back to the prison scene really quick. I do have only 3 clips because it was kind of hard since it expands so much.
Yeah.
But we'll do this one really quick.
Tell him what to do.
My name is Kilo Loy. We will never have a better chance than this. And I would rather die trying to take them down than giving them what they want. We know they fried 100 men on level 2. We know that they are making up our sentences as we go along. We know that no one outside here knows what's happening. And now we know that when they say we are being released, we are being transferred to some other prison to go and die. And that ends today. There is one way out. Right now. The building is ours.
It's ourses.
Ourses.
He went full Gollum in that scene.
That was I was telling I told Hoosier afterwards that
That was his awesome.
That was like if you ever watch the old Looney Tunes things when like Bugs Bunny does a really big speech and afterwards somebody offset hands him the Academy Award and he's like, thank you. It's like all I could think about when he did that. I was like, he went all out on this scene. It's like it was so hilarious.
Fantastic.
I was legitimately cheering in that episode.
Yeah. I was like, that's one of those ones. I think I actually probably gave him a little slow clap afterwards. I was like, that is a great speech, trying to get people out of their electrified bunkers and running for it.
So funny about that scene. I saw this after the fact. Someone had posted this thing that another subtle thing about how well it was. So when they were doing the prison escape before, when the floors in the initial room where they started off, and they told everyone to get on the tables, he was the only one. He just didn't go onto a table because he wanted to make sure everything. If he dies, he dies, right? Otherwise, he wants to show that this is safe. We're going to be okay. And then when he makes the speech and tells everyone the floors are deactivated, the other group, the black guy, the leader of that group, he's the first one to step out of the cell onto the ground. So he takes charge, shows them all,
That right there's the hero, the guy that's the first guy willing to get into the what is it, the shark repellent suit. The first guy who's willing to jump onto the the electrified floor, the person that climbs the giant mountain or whatever. Those are the heroes. Or the idiots, whichever way. But those are the ones that
how it turns out to end.
And Andor was, I mean, he kind of created the chance to get out, but he needed to hand it over.
Yeah. He's like, I'm not a leader yet.
You can tell he was a guy that everyone respected. Usually when somebody's in a leader like that for the bad guys, people secretly hate him, but people respected him because they know he had a job to do. And he was like, I'm just trying to motivate you guys because we're going to get out. And he kept motivating people, fighting people, arguing with people. And then he's the voice that says, look, it was all BS. Like they screwed us all. Now we got to get out. We got the numbers. They know that they can't do anything about it. So we're going to have to just go.
I love that scene where dealing with that dead guy and he realizes that he's not getting out.
Yeah, that was great. Just
that click, and you're like, okay, he's now turned to rebellion.
And the scene that people said that wasn't Star Wars enough that I think people forget about, which is a scene that I just thought was kind of funny and charming and interesting, is afterwards it'd be the next grouping of releases when apparently only him and one other guy can swim because I don't know what happened to the rest of the prisoners. But they finally make their way and they run into those 2 alien guys who they're like ready to fight to death. And it was like, it's one of those things where, if you just asked me, I'd give you the pencil. Like, you don't have to try to kill me for it. You can just ask me.
It was pretty good.
Like, hey, all you had to do is say you escaped the prison because you hate them. That's fine. Let's go. Like, they were like,
yeah, it's funny. They're like, we don't care. What I found funny was I like that. Oh, they're swimming. I was thinking like Brian was like, God knows how far the land is, right? But then, I mean, there's probably a lot of drowned people. But I was wondering, like, was there no ships like just docked, like not boats, like plane, fighters or transport ships, or none just docked on there in case of like, what if there was an emergency and they had to evacuate the guards, like they had no way of getting off?
I think that's one of the things they did was they took out, because I think there's a ship in orbit that takes people down, but I don't think, and that was one of the things they were trying to stop them from doing was calling in for the ship in orbit. But
Okay, I guess it's only in orbit then.
Yeah, they don't have any just sitting there ready to go. Like they don't have that one helicopter that comes by once a month. That's
do that job.
And that was the other thing that I think is weird. Oh, well, all right. We don't need him, I guess. The other thing that I thought was weird and interesting at the same time, but was a great decision afterwards, was how ridiculous it was. Like, you guys escaped. You're going to jump off. How many stories was that? 10? Like, I don't know how many stories that was.
Enough for break here. That's why they're the ones who made it, because everyone just broke their legs on as soon as they hit the water.
Did they know beforehand how far away the land was? I don't think they did, and they would rather do that than stay in that situation. So,
which is fair. Like it just shows how far you need to get to.
Oh. You can just turn off the camera when you go to the bathroom. That's what.
No, he just wanted to be on the bottom of the screen now. Right.
Oh, he's frozen again. Look at that face too. That face is amazing. Oh, that was great.
But yeah, trying to think some other really. What's the other clips you have? Oh, there he is again.
I have a few more. One that's gonna be really long because how long have we been going for? I got to make sure we're within the
26 minutes.
Watch. Okay, we're good then. The one thing I would like to talk about, I'd like to talk about the spy leader because I know he got criticized because people didn't know. I don't know what the criticism is. I guess because people they thought he was too wishy-washy. I thought it was
ISB leader.
Yeah, like there was a lot of criticism.
No,
wait, the ISB one?
No. The what's his name, Lucan or whatever.
Yeah, Luthen.
Yeah, Luthen.
Oh,
a lot of people didn't like his character for a reason. I thought his character was amazing because I thought again, this is what the character you want. This is it might not be the pretty Mon Mothma type. Which, by the way, I think people have also looked right past the fact that she ain't as squeaky clean as we were led to believe all these years, because she's willing to basically prostitute her daughter out to.
That was interesting.
That's a situation we're kind of glossing right past, that she's willing to marry her off to a crime lord just to get what she wants in life. And then apparently, I didn't really get the scene, but is she setting up her husband to take the downfall by calling him out for gambling?
That's what I was thinking, because also she knew that the cab or the cab driver was listening. I love that. Like that basically she says we need some silence. He turns it off, and a couple seconds later he's like, and then the husband's like, he can't hear us, and then the driver's like,
no, it was a way to explain away all the money that disappeared.
Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking, and then also at the same time
in one episode. She set up her husband, which I'll call, obviously there's no love lost there, that you find out that they were put together by tradition, not from love. But she put her husband down, take the loss if necessary, and married off her daughter, or at least set up a crime lord. And
which actually would explain why we don't see the husband or hear about him, because he's probably got arrested.
Yeah. The squeaky clean Mon Mothma, to me, that when I saw her do both of those things, I was thinking about Forrest Whitaker's character, who probably was like, oh, high and mighty, look what you just did. Like, I could see him giggling that the high and mighty Mon Mothma.
Yeah. But they were very polar opposites as far as being, part of the rebellion. In that, she was very diplomatic. He was very hands-on, and she you had to really respect the way that she was in a world of fascists, and everything they were saying, and even in their store, they had to say with code, really, or not face anyone else to say what they really wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought they even handled that well, because they would show you, it was all grimy, it was dirty, it was showing how one is living in a cave, one is going to a door, and then they'd cut back to her, and it was always meant to be alarmingly, starkly different, where she's walking down a hallway in very beautiful clothes with servants all around her, handing whatever she wants.
Yep.
While she's going in a very uppity kind of arguing with her husband in a roundabout way, but keeping appearances going. Like, I just thought it was amazing. I thought they did a really good job.
And at times she was petrified. You could tell.
Because you need Saul, you need the spy master. That is how rebellion gets started, and that's how you win. But afterwards, to get the people from continuously going on, what the difference between, even historically speaking, a successful rebellion and one that goes on into chaos and out of control is, do you have that leader who could step forward and have that air of like, okay, I'm here now, I'm the leader you want, I'm not like a military dictator. And then you have her step in. It's like you have the both of what you're going to need in the rebellion. You're going to need the people who are willing to do the dirty work that probably aren't going to make it to the end. And then you have the uppity lady who's going to step in and go, "Hey, listen, we're all good. We're gonna get through this." Yeah. So it was interesting watching. That's one thing I regret right now is I did not get a scene of Mr. Whitaker because I thought he did freaking amazing.
I was just gonna say, with how little we saw him this season, he did a fantastic job. Especially that was actually one of my favorite scenes when Luthen went back the second time, and then Forrest Whitaker or Saul was like, "You have spies? Is he you have spies here? You have spies there?" And he starts flipping out, right, going paranoid.
Yeah,
and like it reminds you how good, because I feel like Forrest Whitaker kind of does that thing where he takes the jobs he wants. He's probably offered a lot, so he always takes quirky movies sometimes, and so you don't really see that much of him. But when you see him in a movie, you realize how good he really is.
Yeah.
And the fact he took this bizarre character and made it his own thing now, where they're changing everything else to be like him.
Yeah.
And then that end where he's like, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. And he finally clicks that this guy is just as ruthless as you are. He'll do whatever. And he's like, well, for the cause then. And like, he won't even answer him. Like, it was amazing. And then going back to this, the spy master, you see how he's willing to do it. He lets Saul know the reason why you're alive is because you know who I am and you can get me in as much trouble as I can get you. And then that guy that he has on the inside, that guy is like, listen, I got you something else. It's the most important stuff ever. I think it's good enough information for you to let me go. And he's like, yeah, it ain't happening. Hits the elevator button down and he sends him back down. I thought that was great. That was so cold-blooded. The guy's like begging him, please, I have a family. I don't want to do this anymore. And he was like, yeah, you know what? You're just a little too important to me. So go back to work. And clicks the elevator button. I was like, man.
I wonder if we're going to see that guy like
though. And I think that's what Star Wars is always too scared to do, is you're going to have people who do that crap, who do something really nasty. You're doing it for the right cause. Oh, all the rebels are so nice and sweet. Of course you take their side. But then you realize not all the time. Like now you're, once you're in there, once you know how you're going to rob the bank, you're with them now, no matter what. You can't just walk away now. Like you can't just say I'm done. Like they got you.
I have a feeling probably in the next season that guy, that the spy in the ISB, I feel like he's not going to get killed. I think he's probably going to kill himself. I have a feeling. Like when they're going to figure out getting too close to him, he's just going to off, or they're going to make it look like he did that.
And then just to keep going on some of the characters that I enjoyed, I actually thought his love interest kind of person, I can't remember her name now.
Bix.
Yeah. I actually thought for the little amount of spoken word she had, she did a really good job. Like she was like all like tough and you can't mess with me until after they got rid of her. She like
that was a great scene. The torture scene, like how like we don't obviously hear what it's either describing it, and then they don't tell us, or you don't hear how it sounds, and it's just her reaction to it, and you could just imagine how horrible that would be.
Yeah. And the fact he comes to get her and she's like, didn't want no part of it. She was like completely broken. I thought she did a good job. But then two of the like, I don't know, man, is the son, and his like, what is he? His sergeant, the captain and the sergeant at the end when they're like switching hats and they're doing all those weird things.
Oh yeah.
I can't think of their names right now. But like those two like buddy film they almost turned into. It makes me want to know what happens to him. Like I really
you remember what happened. He abandoned him on the street, dude. He's like laying in the corner drinking.
and I did just see an article that I read where the guy who plays the captain or the sergeant guy said that he's not in any more episodes. He's done. Like they're not using him for anything else.
Who? Oh, the one that was
the guy who was drinking his booze away on the street.
That's fair. I can see him right there.
I want to know more about that guy. I love that guy. He's hilarious. But yeah, he's But that's it though. Like there were so many characters that you want to know about.
I like the disturbing relationship that's being built between Cyril and the ISB.
Oh, that's toxic right there.
I like it though because it's like they're both trying to advance on each other.
Yeah, the overused words of toxic. That is the creepiest toxic little stalker fella I've ever seen in my entire life. And she's off him right now where she has the chance because nothing good's going to come from that relationship.
Oh, you know what's funny? Actually, this is another fun one behind the scenes. What I saw was like, oh, like where they filmed a lot of the stuff, right? Because they made that whole town, which is crazy to me. But then the ISB headquarters where they filmed that, because when we backpedal for a second, the train station on Coruscant is the Ferrari headquarters. It's like the lobby to Ferrari.
Yeah, I knew it was some kind of real building. Yeah,
and then ISB, the headquarters, the front of it. I saw that and I was like, that's funny. And then it showed where it was. I'm like, oh, that's fun. It's in London. It's in Canary Place is the area. It's the front of the Canada Life building. That's what they use.
Knowing that Canada had something to do with Star Wars. That's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, we're the secret Gestapo here apparently.
So go back to Mr. Spymaster. The whole time, I feel like when you're watching him, you don't really know nothing about him. Like you think he's probably somebody uppity. He has like his little feelers out there. He's probably buying people off, and that's the way I thought of him. He was buying people off. He's part of the game. He probably does it because he thinks it's fun. Like I didn't know what he was. And then this scene, like I was talking about, where he gets caught by the bad guys. And by the way, if you didn't know that I don't know what kind of Imperial class that is. With the 3 discs, the 3 satellites, but that apparently was a concept art for the original.
Yes,
and
that was before what's it called? Because you had the
tractor beam. You mean
what's his name? Ralph McQuarrie did the concept art for all stars. That was the concept art from a different guy who was just before Ralph McQuarrie. When Lucas hired a bunch of people for concept art, he mostly used Ralph McQuarrie's, but. That guy had done that concept art as some others ones. He was like one of those 50s pulp like cover artists. Like, so basically that's why it looks so different. But I
thought that was neat. They went back and used it. And it was at this moment, like I said, I rewound and watched this scene probably like 5 times. I even had my wife come and watch it, where she kind of like, that's nice, and she walked off. Because for me, it was that moment where I was like, I instantly wanted to know who the hell this guy really is. Like I instantly wanted to know. Like, what the hell? This isn't some like uppity rich guy who's playing games with Rebellion. No,
clearly, he's been doing it a while.
This is a long one. Listen, Star Wars, I love. Okay, Disney, I love it. Okay, this is why I want to show it. It's amazing. I don't understand why I can download these clips from the internet off of YouTube. They're like 10 minutes. I put a 30-second clip while I'm talking over it, and you still hit me. I don't know. I know what goes on with that. I don't know what I did to you, but let's jump into it.
This is Segra Milo, Imperial Patrol. Please identify yourself, Hallcraft.
I need an active transponder ID. Preference Alderaan.
Working.
Sorry, can you repeat back, please?
This is an Imperial Patrol. Stand by for transponder scan. ID found.
What's he doing? Tractor force up 5!
Does he think he can get away?
Listen 5. Some pirate Hallcraft. Where does he think he's gonna go?
Final warning, Hallcraft. Power down immediately or risk full consequences. Countermeasures armed.
What is that?
No, from the Hallcraft. Tractor beacon is failing us. I can see that. Where's my air wing? Tractor beacon is down.
Hyperspace calibration complete.
And I just want to say
Dude.
that lieutenant or whatever, he makes
Chill.
that scene. He is such. I don't know where they
His
find
face
these
at the
guys.
end, he was like,
Yeah,
just
I don't know where they find these guys, but the one thing that Star Wars always does right, whether Disney owns it or not, is they always find those prickish guys to yell out orders to somebody. You
Yeah.
in the name of the Empire, and they
And they
always
they don't necessarily look evil, but
Yeah,
they
they're
just
just like
have that
middle management
pompousness.
vibes.
Yeah, it's a middle management arrogant vibe, and I just had to leave it all in because the end, whenever everything's exploded, the guy has no idea what the hell happened. He just sitting with his mouth open as it goes off into hyperspace.
Like,
The other thing that he didn't think he had on that ship was a hyperspace drive.
Like,
He was like, "What the hell just happened?"
realistically, in the span of like once he like shot out the that's also one of the only examples of projectile based weapons, right?
Yeah.
When that happens, from that to him leaving hyperspace probably was a span of like 2 minutes, not even. So the guy
Well,
was just
I uncut the whole thing, and it was like 1:38. Like,
Yeah.
And he just said no.
yeah. And
But,
the funny thing is,
I was also laughing because Luthen probably like he was using his blaster as normal, but that was probably the first time he ever had to use the lasers. He's like, I'm just gonna try this out. It's like I gotta try this out here.
the funny part about it is though, is like, how would that scene normally have happened? And this is the part to me where they shot it, and it's amazing what you think about it. How that scene should have happened was, if you're somebody who's just doing this for a laugh or you don't really know what you're doing, is as soon as the tractor beams down, you hit your engines at full blast and you try to get as much distance as possible into that little robot, which, by the way, that robot, I want to know more about him because he does everything. He's the spy guy himself. Until he goes,
I was
well,
thinking that was probably
go.
K2SOs. Like,
well, calculated go. That's how you normally do it, but that's not what he did. He immediately turned back around and started killing everybody in sight and then left at his own free speed. Like, he didn't just run away and try to get as much distance. As soon as he hit the brakes and started turning around, that's me. I was like, what is he doing? And then he's just like, it took Luke about 19 shots to bring down one TIE fighter, and he's just like, pow. And like, nothing's changing his face. He's like, dead. We're good to go. Yep. Like, it was so like emotionless. Instead of, don't get cocky, kid, he was like, no, I'm just shooting once and I kill them all. Like, I don't care.
It still gives me chills watching that.
Yeah, it's such a great scene. It really was. I loved that when I saw it, because it was like, it made it, because like, if you had seen battle after battle, crazy thing after crazy chase, I don't know if that scene would have had the same power as it was just came out of nowhere, and you're like, what the hell's going on? And then all of a sudden, all this crazy crap happened. Something as simple as, well, it's a tractor beam, so if I shoot a bunch of metal at them, they're going to tractor it ass right up to the tractor beam and blow it out. It's something so awesome.
The subtle genius.
They first did that in the Thrawn book. Is where they got that thing. So to say they had no Easter eggs, there's a lot, because that's one that, you know, if you're a super fan, you know that's been done before. The old banana in the tailpipe type situation.
So what about the top ISB guy? I can't remember his name.
Major?
Yeah, the guy who you know, he was okay with letting things run the way he thought they were working. Like, he was open to her doing her thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, she was a woman in a man's world, and you kind of felt, you know, sympathy for her, and, you know, she was being, you know, underrated. And then so you started feeling positively about her, and then all of a sudden she freaking tortures that girl.
Then you forget, oh yeah, she's a horrible person, right?
Yeah, but again, that's benefit of like great writing, because I'm sorry, the elephant in the room is 6 months ago, I don't think Disney would, I mean, obviously they had already wrote it then, but in the other movies, they wouldn't have greenlit that. They would have tried to make her like, I am woman in this man's world. I'm really a good person. I'm smarter than everyone. I can do everything. And they started that. But then the beauty of writing is they also showed you that she's also really evil. She's not a nice person. She's willing to do whatever it takes. And then by the end, she kind of screwed the pooch. She
flounders completely.
Made it great. She was terrified in that last scene. She was like, like she wasn't even thinking about, sweetheart, you jumped out of the pan into the fire because the weirdest stalker in the history of the universe is like in your face right now going, I saved you, didn't I? Did I save you? And right now you're not seeing the danger you're in. You need to go back out into the shooting gallery, because danger,
Because
danger,
Cyril-
danger. You need to realize who saved you.
They were
'Cause that's a
giving
creepy son of a
Cyril
gun right
crap
there.
for that in the first 3 episodes where he screwed that whole thing on Ferrix, but then they all ended up doing the same thing anyway.
If somebody was like, "How did we possibly found her?" He knew all those hiding spots from when he screwed up. He knew exactly where to go to hide it.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Also, random because there's so many characters, right? Like you have like Val as well, like who is apparently what's it called? Mothma's sister.
Oh yeah. Oh, cousin. Yeah,
cousin.
Yeah, which is like oh, that's from a character we knew had like we always thought she was alone to suddenly having a husband, a daughter, a cousin, to having all these relatives. You're like, oh, what's gonna happen?
The funny thing is, it seems like whatever family they came from, either Mon Mothma spent all of hers or something's weird because they're talking to her like she's got unlimited funds. Like the cousin's the fun one that does whatever the hell she wants.
There's the partier.
It's weird because I think even Mon Mothma kind of still treats her like that, even if she knows what she's doing. But you know, she was living in the jungle for months. We don't even know how long, eating worms and shit, killing, snapping necks and taking names. And she's like, well, you know how that crazy aunt of yours is. She just runs around and partying it up.
God, but yeah,
like she's still emotional.
The other great thing about that character is that we do get to see, hey, how well did Disney do this? We had the box being checked. She has a gay girlfriend or whatever. And what happened was it was a messy, dirty relationship where clearly one really likes one way more than the other one. I feel like the other one was kind of like, hey, we're cool. Like we can hang out, we can have sex, we can do whatever you want to. But I'm kind of doing this whole spy thing right now. So if you kind of leave me alone and step to the back, I got some concentrating to do. And I just thought it was really well done. It was like a normal, difficult relationship that started in the bad way. You're eating worms, snapping necks in the woods, and now one is like, yeah, I see you, sweetheart. I'll get you in a minute. I'm trying to
overtime to take care of. I got some overtime.
I got stuff to take care of here.
Also, yeah, with her Citra, that was great when they were on the street. She's following the guy. And he's like, "Why are you? Why are you?" And then she just shanks him like Assassin's Creed. Just shanks him and leaves him in the
Star Wars. That's what I'm talking about. That they're gonna have a problem because she just shanked him. Didn't think about it. Didn't hesitate. She just and then closed the door and kept walking.
And then later on, Val being like, "Oh, are you okay? Like, there's blood in your hands." Like, "I'm fine." And she's like, "No, are you okay?" It's like, "I'm fine. It isn't my blood." And turns back.
It's so good. Like, it was such a good thing. Now there was one thing at the end. We had this speech from his mom,
Marva,
that galvanizes everyone. It's a big long speech. I did see. I guess they did confirm it. Technically, Star Wars said that the original line was "fuck the Empire."
It was a rumor. I'm pretty sure.
Apparently, they apparently actually said it was the person who does the. Was it the editing or the person who did the voicing said yes? The original thing was "fuck the Empire." She said it was one of the actresses. She said we were pretty excited about it. And we were kind of bummed when it became "fight the Empire." I'm here to tell you they made the right decision, and it's not because I don't want to see Star Wars say "fuck." It's because "fuck the Empire" seems kind of childish. "Fight the Empire" at the moment where they all start fighting to me is way more powerful than just a simple "I'll just fuck the Empire."
Also, the only thing is with saying that they gotten really creative, all the swear words in the universe, so having just the word "fuck" show up out of nowhere was really weird.
I mean, I get it; it's powerful, but I feel like that's the thing right now is to find a way to do an unnecessary kind of let's do Blue's Clues. Let's have them say ass or something, and wouldn't that be like spicy? And it's like no, unless it fits. And I think "Fight the Empire" was the better choice. Whether they did it for because Disney didn't want fuck in there or not, I still think it's the better choice. I have the clip.
These bastards from the start. Fight the Empire.
Also,
now I'm gonna see something else.
Also, them putting the coat over. I'm like, that's so genius. And then
90 MF and comics. That is it is the best
100%.
show. It is the best movie they've done. To me, this is shooting right up there with the best of everything, just because of all the stuff we've been saying. So yes, you are correct. I will validate your comment as approved. Yes, but
I love that fact. They just threw the jacket over.
Is in the annals of time, they're going to say what sparked off the rebellion. And if somebody doesn't say some little ass red robot got tossed over, and that set this whole party off, that was the part that
I was laughing too. The jacket, I was like, "That's so cool." And then he didn't have any pushes him over, and he did. As soon as he did that, I was like, "Oh, it's done."
Oh yeah,
and the big dude.
As soon as they dumped that little droid, oh holy hell, bro!
And even the guy with the gong kicked that stormtrooper off that tower.
I was in tears. I was like, okay, as he's up there and the stormtrooper's coming up, I thought he was gonna do the what the armorer did, was use the hammers and just beat the crap out of him, but they just kicked him.
Yeah,
like 300.
He sits his back and he's up on a ladder, right? And he's such in a bad spot. It was almost like the guy looked at him and said, "What are you doing?" And just kicks him off the thing as he flies away. But like, you're going against a giant man who has hammers, and he's been banging on this thing for years probably. That's a man's man right there. You better come up there and pull that trigger.
That's what he
come up there kind of hesitating. He'll throw your ass off that balcony. But yeah, the funny part is when you do see, like, if you ever been in I went to a high school that wasn't necessarily, the nicest of high schools. The funny part is, as silly as it sounds, a lot of stuff get kicked off. If you've been in a rowdy, football game, or for our English friends, or a soccer game or baseball game, it's usually something weird like that. Like somebody knocked over a kid who had the wrong scarf on, or it's usually not like somebody threw the first punch. It's usually something weird, like somebody pushed a girl, or they hit the mascot or something. Then all holy hell breaks.
They knocked the drink over and just sent them.
Yeah. And so the fact that they knocked over the droid, or he dumped the droid over, and it was like right there. Like, that it's going to take something weird like that to happen.
I did love, though, after the fact that what's his name, can't keep you over like that. I loved after the fact the scrapyard, the ship scrap guy. He just has the rope. He's tugging. He's dragging him along. He's dragging him out of there.
Yeah,
I was like, yes. But
at the end, whenever he's like, he's having his moment, he's putting it all together. He's like, "Oh, the spy master's here to kill me. There's no doubt about it." So he puts him on the ship and says, "Go." And they're like, "Where are you going? You're not coming with us?" And then she's like, "Oh, he'll find me." And it was that moment where, like, she's proud of him, but at the same time, she knows this sorry rat always finds a way. She has no idea what's about to happen. Always finds a way to find his way back home, to find us, to get out of those sticky situations. And it was a heavy scene because we don't know what's going to happen in season 2. But if it ended there, we would know that they all believe this guy is like a cat. He has 9 lives. He doesn't die. He gets out of every situation he gets put in. He was in prison. They don't even realize that. But we know that no. He's on 8.5 lives. And nobody runs from the Death Star when the laser's already been fired.
God. Now, speaking of that, the end credits, when you see the little components being put together,
I don't know why this is controversial. I don't understand it.
I don't get that either. But I was liking I did really like that shot where it turned and panned, because also I was thinking about that. How there's like this, when the intro to the show is, and it has the Andor logo coming over like what looks like a moon almost, basically. Yeah. Obviously, it's the Death Star then, but the because that shot's the same basically as the intro.
Yeah, because I watched a guy who talked about it, and he said, "Well, the problem with it is that it's in that full state of build, and then when Andor happens, it's like, when Rogue One happened, it's like 5 years from now or something like that."
Yeah,
and they're like, "Well, that just seems crazy because look how close it is," and I'm like, "No." That's a super complicated device that's shooting freaking Jedi lasers out, and they have it in there. You mean to tell me you don't think that at that spot it can still take another 5 years to put that really complicated piece of equipment together?
It's taken my city like 20 years to put a streetcar on a fucking track.
Exactly. How long have you guys been going over the same street in your neighborhood, and they've been building that same damn street over and over again for 20 years?
But so I was gonna say though, well, here's the thing. Oh yeah, obviously the Death Star looks like that, and the last thing they put in is the dish. But who knows? Maybe the cafeteria probably hasn't got like the furniture in there yet. Well, they haven't got the
set up though. What did they set up? And I do remember, either I read it or I just remember they were talking. Yeah, it is when they were all standing there talking or something. They said there were delays. Remember, they were kept talking about delays with the project, and we saw the prison scene.
Resources being moved from Scarif, and then delays with the prison.
If your main way to build the little triangle pieces for your connector,
the slave labor,
is gone. Yeah, that probably did take a job that had about a year to go, and it might have taken another 4 or 5 years because now you're
That's
Work
true,
for it.
yeah, because how many they were making a day in each room, and like, yeah, that does make a lot of sense. There's a bit that happens. I do like the poetry of it that like Andor is helping build the pieces that ultimately made the Death Star dish.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, that's right.
I was slightly disappointed going into that. I was like, oh man, they didn't reveal what those pieces were, and then obviously pleasantly surprised.
by the end of it, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's it. Do you have anything else?
I was surprised we didn't see the Emperor in the Senate
kinda
or
glad we
like a
did, though.
hologram of
Even
him.
a hologram, yeah. They
I'm
mentioned him.
kind of glad we didn't get any of it. Like there was all this talk about
Which is fair, but the thing was, it caught me off guard because what's his name? Lauren said that the Emperor is gonna hold. The Emperor is gonna hold a emergency session and to bring up the bill. So I'm like, oh, he said he's holding it. I presumed he was gonna be there or like a hologram of him, but
See, I didn't mind it because like to me, I got the sense that this TV show was about something else, and it was about how the average normal human being lives.
Yeah.
And is the average normal human being gonna see the Emperor, even a hologram of him? Probably not. They probably don't even know what he looks like. So I just kind of like the fact that we didn't see any kind of crazy who's the giant 7 foot tall black suited guy walking by. Like who the hell is that?
Right.
Or the Emperor. No, I thought it did what I liked about the show was that these are just normal people making extraordinary decisions, and you might not see the Emperor ever in your life. And I just thought it fit with what it did.
I've said somewhere else, but basically it's not from the super guys looking down, it's from the ground looking up.
up,
Yeah. And you're making this decision to fight against something you don't even see. Like you don't even know who the Emperor is, you know if he's good or bad, but you see the repercussions of decisions that he's ultimately in charge of. So you're making decisions, which what happens in real life. You're decided to rebel against your country. At that point, you probably don't even know who's in charge anymore. But you're making a decision based on how the guy across from you is treating you, not some emperor, instead of miles away, this is universes away. Whatever.
Yeah. Galaxy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of like the fact that we didn't necessarily see anybody. Would I have geeked out if I saw? Of course. Like I'm a Star Wars nerd, so if I saw that fella who's always making sure we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
I would also just like to see more of him before he dies. He's old.
So you just want fan service of let me see more of him. I want more of him.
Well, I'm sure the in Kenobi the scene where he's like, my friend, he's in the hologram. My friend, are you okay? I'm sure that wasn't the only like scene they filmed of him. They probably like, let's just film a ton of you like that, just in your robe and
Here's the issue though that I would have with that is the more we get from Star Wars, we always end up saying the less we wish we had. It's kind of like the scene with Luke Skywalker and he's in the ice cave, and forever we didn't know what that monster looked like, and it was just one of those things, your imagination. Then when we saw him, it was cool, but I know a lot of people who said they actually wish they had never seen it, that it was like something you use your imagination with. When George would go back and add stuff digitally the way he saw it, and you were kind of like, I didn't know if I need to see that. My imagination did a fine job. And so it's like the more we see of the Emperor, I don't know. I would think the more we see of him, the more the mystery, the mystique could be lost because you're seeing him more and more and more and more. And I still like the less we see him, the more imagination we use about him. Like I just don't want Disney to overdo it where he's making a cameo in every single thing. He becomes the Stan Lee of the Star Wars thing. You're wondering where he's going to pop up. I think it's fine just to have him use the less so that he's still got that mystique about him where he's this. The one thing I wish they would do though, because if you're not a comic book fan, if you're not a video game fan, if you're not an uber dork like we are, and you only know from the movies, you have no idea how powerful he actually is. Like you really don't know. Like even the movies haven't done a tremendous job. Those last three bastards of movies that we'll never mention, they tried, but you don't actually realize how powerful he actually is and how ridiculously he is. So it would be nice before that gentleman goes to the great, mystery in the sky, that we would have something that would just show like how uber overpowered he actually is in the world.
He's 78, by the way.
Yeah,
but not powerful enough to see the little people doing whatever they're doing. He couldn't predict that prison break.
And a great tie-in, I think, through all of it is how does this happen? How does that happen? That's happened. Then when you find out that what they said throughout, little bits and pieces, They don't see us. We're like fleas on a dog's back. They don't even know we exist.
Yep.
And that attitude went through the locals, the local bosses. It went through to even the Secret Service kind of people, the people who did all the spying. They all had that attitude where every single nobody was looked at as a nobody. But then to see that part, but to also see that the nobodies people who were making decisions were allowing this to happen because they needed it to happen. Because the only way you can get people off their dead ass and stop watching the TV, stop watching, what is it called? What is Star Wars' TV network thing?
HoloNet.
The HoloNet. They get out their fat ass and stop watching the HoloNet is to blow shit up and allow them to be hurt, is allow them to be mistreated. And so they're like he kept saying, no, I want them to squeeze harder because it's the only way we're going to motivate people to see how bad they are is to allow them to squeeze harder, is allow them to do more. So you can see how fast, if you have both sides trying to push into the center, and it also shows you how, as in real life, you're being manipulated by both sides. You don't even realize it. Like you're being manipulated by two separate powers, and you don't even realize that you're being manipulated. It's just a really well written show, and everything was thought out beforehand, which I know. Baffling.
It's weird. It's weird to see.
Yeah, when you don't switch writers and directors 100 times while filming, it's baffling how they can have a plan that goes all the way through.
That's the one of Nemec's lines is it's easier to hide behind 40 atrocities than a single incident.
That's a good line.
Very relevant. There's a lot of good lines in this show. Like honestly, there's
well, I used for our post was from the last episode was the flashback with Clem, where he's like cleaning off the rusted part, and he says to Cassian, "People don't look down to where they should. They don't look down. They don't look past the rust. Not us, though, eh? Eyes open, possibilities everywhere."
See, I hate that, honestly, because that's one of the things I'm talking about. You have these little character moments where it's like, that guy obviously is more insightful and was super important to Cassian and his wife's life. We don't know nothing about this fucking guy. We don't know nothing about him. Like, I want to know more about him. And I can't say that about Star Wars. How many characters in Kenobi did you want to know more about? Honestly. Maybe a few of the brothers. I want to know more about them. Why? Because they weren't on the freaking TV. I know nothing about them. I want to know more about you. But the rest of them, I could give crap less. But in Andor, I feel like there are like at least a dozen characters I want to know more about. Like, what the hell motivated them? Where'd they go? What's going to happen to them?
I don't know about you, but watching Book of Boba Fett, I really want to know more about Max Rebo and what happened. How did he know to escape the bar when the second attack happened? Who tipped him off? Who tipped him off to get out of there?
I feel like one of the things about, sorry, I know you can't be disappointed. I know, Kachung. But one of the things I think that people were talking about the most was like, how did old boy get so fat? That's all I heard people talking about. What is up with that? How did he get so fat? Like, he got so big and fat. I'm like, he's dead. Who cares? Move on to the next character. Like, he's dead. I don't care how he got fat. But like, there's no character things. But this is awesome. And then I guess
a step in the right direction.
We'll know more next week, maybe even a few weeks from now. But there was a big shakeup at Disney.
Oh yeah, CEO.
They basically fired everybody. They fired the head of Disney Plus. They fired the CEO. They brought back old school boy. I read some articles. There's definitely a lot insinuating that they've made mistakes. They made movies based on what maybe some people internally wanted, more so than listening to their customers. I don't buy any of it, Disney. You got a long way to convince me that you're going to change your ways. But I think
the trick is they're gonna announce they're gonna come back. First Expo, Star Wars Expo.
Lost. Yeah, and I think so. We'll see what kind of changes, but it could be weird. What I think is weird is like the people they seem to target were the ones around Disney Plus, which I think is weird because I think of all the streaming services, Disney. I feel like Disney, and maybe that's why they don't like it. They set it up for that. They set it up for like, if you're not going to deliver, then people are going to cancel it and take it based on what they like. And like, I don't know, like you got to do better, I guess, doing that. And they kind of made Disney Plus for a while. Well, let's give old John Boy a try. He wrote a comic book once, or he has a great blog. And it's like, well, he has $100 million budget. How can you guys blow through that much money? So we'll see how that goes with the shakeup at Disney.
Well, I'm sure the next Star Wars Expo, the shakeup, they're gonna be like, we're gonna announce a new movie finally. It's gonna be Rogue 2.
Rogue Point.
We'll have to discuss some stuff. We have some. I don't know. Are we going to discuss the other TV show that was put out? The cartoons.
We can maybe do that.
What the 1 minute long Grogu animation?
No, about like
Tales.
Ways of the Jedi or whatever.
We talked about that.
We haven't talked about it yet. Because I haven't even watched those, so there's no way.
Oh, we didn't. Oh my god, no! Because yeah,
I say because I haven't watched one episode of that, so there's no way we.
Yeah, you haven't?
No, I haven't watched any of it.
Oh.
Wow.
All right. Anyways, for Tales of the Jedi, I guess I don't know.
Look at his face. What?
I ranked the episodes. I'm ready.
Oh, yeah. I can tell you where the top 3 of those are for me, and I can tell you where the bottom 3 are.
And there's
I don't know which.
How many of those do you think I'll be triggered by?
Half the show is Ahsoka when it's called Tales of the Jedi. When we could have had other stuff.
Yeah, but I like Ahsoka, so as long as they didn't.
But it's like sure, but like
there's
one
a lot
of
of
she's a
Dooku.
baby the whole episode. The other one is it's just her. Is actually good as the second episode, and then the third one with her is from the book, but they retcon everything, and then. Otherwise, the other episodes are all Dooku. One with Dooku and Qui-Gon when he was young.
They're not gonna make me freak out or anything.
No, well,
about that.
The Dooku stuff is great. The Dooku stuff is all perfect.
Okay, here's the reason why I didn't watch it, and obviously we can hold all this until next week. But the reason why I didn't watch it was I was in a good headspace with Andor, and I didn't want to get triggered. I didn't want to get back into like Haiti mode.
Yeah.
So I'm focused until this show's over with. And then if I go watch this and I start screaming and throwing a fit, I don't want to like it to color anything.
There's one scene in one of them that I think is in probably the top 20 moments of Star Wars.
For sure. Wow. Well,
I love that
teaser.
What is it though?
Next time. No, we'll say it the next time. If you want to hear what the top 20 all-time Star Wars moments, you're going to tune in the next time.
Awesome.
But spoiler alert, this is the guy that cannot be disappointed in Star Wars.
Mr. cannot be disappointed.
Well, all right, guys.
I guess next week come back for ranking Tales of the Jedi, I guess.
Yeah, we should do Tales of the Jedi. Yeah,
okay. That's simple then.
All right, we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, everybody. Yep. Awkward.